Museong held Soryang by the back of his neck, questioning why they had children when they hadn't even had their wedding ceremony yet. Hueun clarified that she was referring to the spotted centipedes Soryang was raising, not human children. Soryang was stunned, his surprise beyond words. Recently, he'd been focused on physical training sessions and had asked Hueun to take care of the centipedes. He realized he'd completely forgotten about them and was worried something had happened to his babies. He asked to see them. As he reached toward Hueun, thinking she kept them there, Hueun squealed that they weren't with her. Museong was speechless. A moment later, they found the 3 blue-spotted centipedes looking brown and weak. Soryang had a handprint on his face, a funny reminder of his earlier actions. Soryang stared at the centipedes intensely, while Museong wondered if they had just fallen from Hueun's body with a thud. Hueun mentioned that they seemed fine earlier, but was now concerned they might be sick. Their color looked pale, and their shells seemed odd. Soryang reassured her that there was no reason to worry, explaining it was called shedding. Creatures like centipedes with hard shells shed them when they grow bigger, and that's likely what was happening. Museong asked if they were already shedding their shells. Soryang replied that it would happen soon. Just then, one of the little ones moved strangely and its head emerged. They were all impressed by the sight. It was quite amazing to watch as the other 2 centipedes began shedding their shells as well. They successfully shed their old shells and were now fully out. Hueun noticed they looked almost twice as big as before. She asked if the little ones had names. Soryang realized they didn't, and his thinking face was quite amusing. Even funnier were the names he came up with, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Hueun found it so silly that she refused to accept them. She reasoned that since spotted centipedes are said to turn into dragons after living for 1,000 years, they needed dignified, dragon-worthy names. Soryang playfully argued that there was no way a spotted centipede would turn into a dragon, even after 1,000 years. Museong joined in, joking that 1,000-year-old spotted centipede is indeed called a dragon. Soryang realized Museong must have taught Hueun that. He then seriously considered their names. He decided to name them Nova, Myra, and Grace. Nova symbolized a beginning, Myra meant fragrance, and Grace represented elegance or gentleness. Hueun was delighted and didn't object, as naming the children was traditionally the father's responsibility. The spotted centipedes now had their names. A full day later, the centipedes returned to cling to Soryang. His body didn't feel completely dry yet, but he was well enough to move around. However, he still felt a bit awkward. The centipedes were now heavier. They had grown from the size of a thick sausage to as large as his forearm. They seemed to find his embrace too tight, so they coiled snugly around his arms and waist. While he was lying there snuggling with the centipedes, he overheard a conversation. 2 men were passing by. One of them, holding a loaded pouch, remarked that the Sichuan Tang clan was always so extravagant. The 2 men decided to head to the brothel, laughing about how easy it was to make money. Soryang's curiosity was piqued by their conversation. At the pavilion, Chialson shared some great news. The medicine they sent to the city lord of Sichuan had worked exceptionally well, and the city lord had sent a message of gratitude along with a generous reward. Soryang and Hueun were delighted to hear this. Chialson was proud and happy to have gained such benefits so soon after accepting Soryang as his son-in-law. Soryang had truly accomplished something remarkable. Soryang was glad he could help. As a result, Chialson suggested granting Soryang one of his elixirs, knowing that if he called it a reward, Soryang might refuse out of modesty. Soryang recalled his grandpa saying that an elixir enhances internal energy. Hueun asked what kind of elixir it was. Chialson replied that it wasn't anything extraordinary, just the honey of the golden-haired king bee. In Soryang's mind, he thought it sounded like regular honey. However, knowing how crucial internal energy is for becoming a martial master, he decided to accept it. He was about to thank his father-in-law when Hueun interrupted. She pointed out that since Chialson was rewarding Soryang, she questioned why it was just honey. Chialson got nervous seeing Hueun's assertive demeanor. She argued that Soryang's achievement was no small feat. Even if the golden-haired king bee is a mid-level venomous creature, honey is considered the lowest grade among elixirs. She insisted that Chialson shouldn't be stingy when rewarding Soryang for such a significant achievement, making Soryang feel shy. She scolded her father, saying he should grant something that provides a year's worth of internal energy instead of an elixir offering just 2 months' worth. Chialson was saddened and reasoned that it was still an elixir and had been expensive to obtain. Hueun was further triggered, arguing that compared to Soryang's contributions, the reward was a mere pittance. Chialson found himself in a tough spot. Soryang asked about the golden-haired king bee. Chialson explained it was a mid-tier venomous creature sometimes found in jungles, about the size of a small dog. Consuming its honey was said to grant internal energy equivalent to 2 full months of meditation. Imagining the bee's B's size, Soryang was both excited and amused, but Hueun reigned in his thoughts. She expressed her frustration on Soryang's behalf. Chiolson clarified that his intention wasn't to belittle Soryang's achievements. He thought Soryang might enjoy seeing the golden-haired King Bee in person. This got Soryang excited, and he asked if Chiolson was suggesting he could see the bee himself. That was indeed what Chiolson had in mind. Internally, Soryang interpreted this as an invitation to harvest the honey himself. He'd done similar things back in his YouTuber days. With excitement, they headed to the door. Soryang shared that he was practically an expert when it came to bees. Chiolson knew Soryang would like the idea. Soryang asked what the golden-haired King Bee looked like. Chiolson simply replied that it looked like a bee. Hueun could only sigh, and so their honey harvesting journey began. Chiolson had provided them with premium information, so they assumed there wouldn't be any competitors. But when they arrived, they found two clans fighting. Apparently, both had bought the same information. One clan asked if the person they bought it from had scruffy hair and a big mole. The other clan confirmed it was the same guy, but insisted they wouldn't back down easily. Hearing the descriptions, Soryang remembered the two guys he'd overheard. He realized those two had been selling the information everywhere. One guy, angered by the scammers, shouted, "How dare you insult the Sichuan Tang clan in Sichuan?" His loud voice and the mention of the Sichuan Tang clan made the others nervous. The peaceful honey harvesting trip had turned into something far from calm.
So, friends, this chapter comes to an end. What will happen next? We'll uncover it in the next chapter. Don't forget to rate this chapter out of 10 in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.